Go in to your home turf, defend your home turf against a division opponent, take care of business against the Eagles today. Makes your whole job a whole lot easier. Pop, what's going on, man?
Son, as you know, they say, the waiting is the hardest part.
Oh, guys,
The
if you
great
haven't
poet,
clicked off,
Tom Petty.
if you haven't clicked off yet, you're along for the ride. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Dom and Pop podcast, guys. This is our Eagles pregame episode. As always, don't forget to stay tuned. We got our Bada Bets coming to you live. Second half of this episode. The timestamps are down there at the bottom if you're just itching to get to the picks. But I encourage you to hang tight. Hang tight for this Eagles pregame. It's a lot of fun. Even if you're not a Commanders fan, you'll learn something new about football. But don't forget, guys, like and subscribe. We are almost at 800 subs. I would love to get to 1K before the end of the season. I think that would be awesome. I don't know if we can do it, but I would love to do it. So, guys, with your help, hopefully we can get there. Pop, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Doing good, son. Doing good. Can't complain, as they say.
Yeah, gotta. Hold on a second. Oh, it's just the connection. All right. I thought my camera was a little fuzzy, but it's just what we're working with here. I'm on the lam, hanging out at my mom's house today, so podding remote, even though we're in DC, so keeping it going. But Pop, how you feeling, man? Where's the vibe check? We are 9-5 coming off of that Saints game, and we have got a rematch against these Philadelphia Eagles. Where are you at?
I don't know, man. These playoff scenarios are making me a little bit nervous.
All right.
Feeling good. You got to be feeling good at 9-5. Tough one coming up for sure, but
Definitely.
Rematch. You never know what can happen. I think we're one of their better opponents in a while. Let's just say that.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think it'll be a good chance to get up on the Eagles. I mean, they did just beat the Ravens pretty good last time they played them. They just whacked the Steelers. But it'll be a good chance to get some revenge. I mean, they're coming into our home turf. Even I said it when we played the Eagles in Philly. I said the sky's not falling. If we split with the Eagles, we still have a good chance at the division. Obviously, the Eagles have been white hot since then. Yeah. They're probably the hottest team in football right now, maybe other than the Buffalo Bills. But they are playing really, really good football. And it's gonna be a heck of a game. I think is a lot of good stuff to get into, but we're allowed to look ahead because we're content creators. The Commanders locker room we know has got to be all focused on Philly. But looking ahead, a little quick update here. We found out today two things. The Falcons game has been flexed to Sunday Night Football, and that will be, I think, kind of regardless of what happens against Philly, that's going to kind of be a win you're in situation. I think if you beat Atlanta next Sunday, you're in. So keep that in mind, regardless of how things are going against Philadelphia. For our fans, mental health-wise, keep that in mind. Just something to be aware of there. And Michael Penix Jr. will be the starting quarterback. So interesting scenario unfolding in Atlanta with they've got to win 4 straight in order to make the playoffs, and they are making the change after that rough showing from Kirk Cousins against the Raiders. They are making the change to Penix with a pretty easy stretch in their schedule here. They've got the Giants, then they've got us. Obviously, we're probably the toughest team they've got to face. We're no cakewalk. But then you've got, I think they've got like the Panthers and the Saints or something to end the year.
3 games left.
So it's just the Panthers.
Giants,
Panthers.
us,
Panthers. So pretty easy stretch to end things. So they put Penix in here. They've got us. We're going to be the tough team they've got to face. But this is our Eagles preview. So Pop's got a playoff breakdown for the playoff scenarios before we get too deep into the Eagles stuff and into the Commander stuff. So where's the playoff standing at right now, Pop?
Well, you talked about it. That's the scary part, right? Is that, we're in the 7th seed, as we know, and you think, okay, we got a 2-game lead over the Falcons. That's comfortable. But you mentioned it. They got 2 cupcake gains. They got a rookie quarterback who, by all accounts, can sling it, might come in, might give them a boost of energy. If we drop that one to the Falcons, we got to win the other two to get in.
Yeah.
So this idea of we get to 10 and we're in is becoming a little more dicey at this point because of the Falcons. And even if the Falcons overtake the Bucks, who've got a pretty soft schedule, they've got the tiebreak on us too. And they only need to win 2 of 3 to get to 10. So really, you said it. And I think the situation with the Rams and the Seahawks, since they play one another, I think if we get to 10, we knock, one of them out. One of them will win the division.
They will.
We'll knock the other one out. But 10 is dicey if the Falcons are not one of the teams we beat to get to 10. So that game next week, and even if you beat the Eagles, right, you drop the game to the Falcons, then you got to win the Cowboys game, assuming the Falcons went out. So the pucker factor is growing a little bit here. I'm getting a little bit nervous. Now, we should be able to take care of business against the Falcons. It's an Eagles preview. Let's get to that.
Yeah.
But the scenario is a little dicier than you would think if you just look at the standings and say it's a 2-game lead.
Bottom line
because of schedule.
This is when football is supposed to matter. Football hasn't mattered at this time of the year for quite a long time in this town, and football really matters now. And we've got a division opponent with a chance to knock them off and put some complications in their playoff run this week, and I think we should be 100% focused on that. You beat the Eagles, then all you got to do is split the Falcons and the Cowboys coming down the pike. And that
why not get to 12?
A whole lot easier. Exactly. Why not get to 12? Why not get to 11? Take care of business. That's the bottom line. Is you can talk about, okay, well, the Falcons got to lose and we got to make that Falcons game a must-win game. Screw that. Go in to your home turf, defend your home turf against a division opponent, take care of business against the Eagles today. Makes your whole job a whole lot easier. You've got 3 games going into the playoffs. Win 2 of those 3. That's all that matters. So let's win this week against Philly, and especially when two of those weeks are against lesser opponents. All right, let's call it what it is here. 2 of those games are against lesser opponents that we don't necessarily need to be as concerned with. So going into that Philadelphia Eagles game, Pop, how are you feeling? Where's your vibes at against the Philadelphia Eagles? What do you like here?
I think we got a chance. I do. I think that, defense really played well for three plus quarters. The last time around, they just got to make it a 4-quarter performance. We'll get into the keys and what it's going to take for us to win. I think if we can execute on these keys, we can get the dub. And I don't think it's outrageous to think that we could execute on these keys. They're on a long winning streak. It's tough to sweep a team, especially a playoff caliber team like the Commanders. I'm sure there'll be a lot of green in the stands, unfortunately, but it's a close, road trip for those guys. I'm sure they gobbled up a lot of tickets in the offseason when they were there to be had.
Yeah.
But I still like the fact that we've got the home crowd, even if it's 60-40 or, 65-35, we'll have more fans than they do, hopefully. And, home cooking. And I'm sure getting this rematch is front and center in terms of motivation. Not the greatest performance last week against the Saints by any means. So plenty to still clean up, plenty to be fired up about. So I think we've got a chance.
Yeah, the Commanders have been historically pretty good at home, man. This year we've got, 5-2 at home this season. So let's take care of business, man. Let's do what we need to do against these Eagles. Obviously,
I'm going to trust you on that math.
Few quick injury news. Well, you're trusting StatMuse. I just quickly Googled it, so
nice.
It's up to them. Couple quick injury news, notes, updates. John Allen has practiced today, so he has exited his 21-day or entered his 21-day IR window to be reactivated for the rest of the season. So we'll see how that goes. They have historically taken the maximum amount of time on those windows for certain guys, but you saw Crowder last week exited the window and immediately was good to go. So maybe, having John Allen against the Eagles would be huge. I think it's a long shot at this point, but that would be great to have him back. And we are getting into the time of the year, frankly, where maybe you do rush certain guys back in positions where you need help. So I definitely think you need help on that defensive line. That defensive line is playing like Charmin right now, ultra soft. So you need a little bit of help from John Allen if he's coming back, especially against Saquon to stuff that run. Speaking of guys that I think would be super important against Saquon and to stuff that run, you got Jeremy Chin, obviously our box safety playing down in the box there. Did not practice along with Zach Ertz due to that concussion. Cosme was out with an illness today, and Biadish back at practice. So no coincidence there. The guys that stand next to each other, one of them's got the illness. The next guy ends up with the illness a few days later. Hopefully Cosme should be able to be back in time for practice on Friday. Or he should be able to log a practice by the end of the week and then definitely be able to be back in time by the game. Biadish back is huge, but Biadish back with Cosme out means we still might see some Michael Dieter. I hope we don't. We cannot afford to see Dieter against that.
Dieter's on the injury report. I don't think he would back up. We've got other backup guards, right?
I don't know. He seems to be the first guy that they go to on that backup interior offensive line. But maybe Chris Paul. I don't know who backs up on the right side because Cosme's been so solid this year. But could there be a Ricky Stromberg sighting? Perhaps. Who knows?
He's still on the roster?
Pop's probably looking it up right now.
I don't know if he's still there.
Both kickers were missing today, awaiting the birth of their children. So that is just wild. When you just thought the kicker story couldn't get any crazier, both Zane Gonzalez and Greg Joseph. I mean, did they not maybe check with Joseph before they brought him in on that situation? But I'm sure one of them will be good to kick. Otherwise, I wouldn't be surprised at this point if you see Dan Quinn attempt an extra point. Things are trending in a just insane direction with the kicker situation.
It is wild.
But
it is wild.
You're getting a guy back, so somebody will be good to go by the time it's time to go. But that's all for the Commanders update. So let's get into that Eagles scouting report. Guys, I did one earlier in the season, but honestly, the Eagles scouting report is going to come down to two things. Their secondary is dynamic. Their secondary is phenomenal. They've got one of the best pass defenses in football. Vic Fangio has done an incredible job of really bringing that defense around, and I think that combined with Saquon Barkley is just the best player in professional football right now. He's been unbelievable. And the recipe's out a little bit on how to slow the Eagles down, which is you sell out on the run and you make Jalen Hurts beat you. And frankly, Jalen Hurts has been less than impressive this year. And if I want to open up the floodgates for Eagles fans to clip me up and pay my rent by clipping this up and talking crazy on us on Eagles Twitter, by all means, go for it, gentlemen. Have a blast. Jalen Hurts has been there's been some bad quarterbacks in the NFC East this year, but has been very unimpressive as a whole this year. And if he hangs 3:30 on us on Sunday, I'll come here and put my hand up.
But it's exactly what worked the first time around, right? Yep. We did a pretty decent job containing Saquon for 3 quarters, and Jalen Hurts did not look good in that first game. He did not look good. Yeah. And then, of course, a couple of big plays broke loose late in the game and floodgates opened. But it's exactly the formula that worked the first time.
Yeah, and we did not have Brian Robinson in the first game. We were also playing with Jaden Daniels with like half a rib cage in that first game. He was in rough shape, and you could see that was, I think, of the and credit again to Vic Fangio and his defense. I think that was probably Jaden Daniels' worst game of the year was against the Eagles on that Thursday night game. He was obviously very clearly not 100%, missing a few of those days to recover some of the practices, getting messed up as a result of that. But overall, we've got a healthy Jaden Daniels. We've got a pretty healthy team. I mean, for your injury report to basically be like, Eckler's out, Zach Ertz is out, Jeremy Chin's out, and that's kind of it. At this point in the year is pretty impressive. So it's our chance, man.
Chin and Ertz would hurt, though.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But it's time to it's time to go get one. I think it's time to, if there was any time for us to get to it, let's get to it. So that's about my Eagles scouting report. I know I mixed in some Commander stuff in there, but I try not to go player by player down these scouting reports anymore. Give you a little more of a general feel of the team.
Great job.
They
as
love to
always.
run that football. I think there's an AJ Brown injury we're dealing with as well here. I think AJ Brown is questionable at this moment. He had some kind of like ankle sprain at the end of a game last week. So that should be something to watch as well. Although with Marshawn Lattimore, he tends to play pretty darn good against AJ Brown. So I wouldn't be super worried about him in the first
I was
place.
going to say
Also,
Marshawn is a key difference, right? We didn't have Marshawn
yep.
in the first matchup. We do now. They've Eagles got two excellent receivers. Whichever one of them he can take out of the game would be great. And that's if Hurts didn't look great without us having Marshawn isn't going to help his situation.
Yeah, I think Brown had 2 catches the last time he matched up against Lattimore. So obviously that would be huge for us here, and having Marshawn there, and especially with the work that Samerstill did against against Devonta Smith last time. He was phenomenal against Smith. And frankly, I think like all of our DBs allowed 5 catches last week against New Orleans. Granted, I mean, you've got Hayner and Rattler playing quarterback, right? I will give you Eagles fans. I think Jalen Hurts is better than those two, but still, our DBs played really well last week, and so if we can get that performance again, we might see some things. But we keep talking about all these different hypotheticals. Man, let's get into these keys to the game. What do you say, Pop?
Yeah, they got a lot of ways to beat you. That's the only other thing I would say, right? They can beat you in the run game. They can get the ball to Saquon. Hurts you with his legs. He finds a way to make plays. If we could find a way to make him beat us from the pocket, I think that'd be good. But they've got multiple plays, and what about that defense?
Yeah.
Defense is probably the best defense in the league, and that's probably the scariest part about playing the Eagles isn't their offense, it's their defense.
Yep. At the end of the day, as sensational as he's been, you still have a rookie quarterback versus Vic Fangio, who's a Super Bowl winning defensive mastermind. So definitely something you have to respect there. I started off the segment with saying how phenomenal that defense is.
Yeah,
I think that you can't give them enough credit. I think we slept on them going into the first game. We were saying, really? They're 5th and 6th in rushing and passing? But they've since been the most important part to them being as hot as they've been. So let's get into these 3 keys, man, without further ado. Key number 1 is got to be you got to contain Saquon for all 4 quarters. Got to contain Saquon Barkley for 4 quarters. And Lord, if you got to pick 1 quarter to do it within, contain him during the 4th quarter. You cannot, and that's easier said than done. And it's the same thing that happened with the Ravens, with Derrick Henry. That is the same thing that happened with Saquon, is they pound him all game, and then you get to the 4th quarter, and you feeling like you got it under control, but by the 4th quarter, they've worn you down. That's when Saquon breaks
offense
free.
Has got to stay on the field.
That's going to be a big part of it, and that is our second key, which is sustained drives on offense and big plays. You've got to score more than 10 points, not counting those garbage time touchdowns that we got last time in the 26-18 loss to the Eagles last time around. You've got to score more than 10 points. It is just not going to work. If you converted on a few of those turnovers that we got last time, if you converted on a few of those 3-and-outs that we got last time, you might have been looking at a 21-6 game going into the 4th quarter, and things look a lot different. But you have to convert on offense. You've got to score. I think we're going to need to score more than 30 to win this game. I think if it's a grinder that just favors the way the Eagles are built a little bit better than us. So I think it's going to be key. And the final key is going to be Jaden Daniels is just going to have to play one of his best games this year. It'll take all 11 on offense. Of course, you're going to need somebody other than Terry McLaurin to catch a pass. And it's going to take Cliff Kingsbury as well, that 12th man on offense, to keep that offense cooking. But bottom line is, Jaden Daniels is going to have to be Jaden Daniels' signature victory of the year in order for us to beat the Eagles. Unless the Eagles just lay an egg, which they do every once in a while. It doesn't seem like laying an egg is in Eagles territory this time around, but maybe they lay one against us this week, but you never want to bet on that. And I think ultimately this is going to have to be a Jaden Daniels just show in order for us to win this game.
Jaden Daniels, without doubt, has to play one of his best games, but he can't do it alone. He can't stop guys from jumping off sides. He can't stop guys from getting stupid holding calls. He can't stop guys from going legally downfield. He can't make guys catch the ball. So that's why I think it's going to take all 11. Yes, Jaden has to play really well, but all 11 guys on offense, and Cliff's got to cook up some good gains. We got tape on the Eagles. We know what they're going to try to do on defense. We know what they did against us. We got to counter that somehow, some way. Maybe it's a quick game, but somehow, some way, we've got to counter what they're trying to do on defense. But it's going to take all 11.
And to be fair, they have not seen our full onslaught offensively yet because Daniels was so limited in that Thursday night game last time we played them. So,
yeah, being down Ertz and Eckler isn't going to help with that.
No,
but yeah, I hate a healthy Jaden Daniels in exchange is a pretty decent trade-off.
Yeah, especially Ertz. I mean, I know I went back and forth with a couple people on Twitter about Ertz recently, and there's some guys that love Sinnott and really want to see Sinnott get to work. But the bottom line is, I've said, look, Ertz has been better than fan perception this year in terms of, he might only have 3 catches, but all 3 of those catches are on key third downs. He might only have, 40 yards, but those 40 yards, every single one of them went for a first down. Every single one of them was when Jaden was in trouble or needed to get the ball out. He's been such a savvy veteran safety blanket for the Commanders that I think losing him is big. And I think ultimately, I said it. I had one interaction with somebody that struggled a little bit with the reading comprehension side of things. But I said it. If Sinnott's play demanded more time, he'd be getting more time. But up until this point in the season, it hasn't happened. So hopefully this is a breakout game. That would be amazing. Same with Luke McCaffrey. But ultimately, these guys are not showing enough in the opportunities that they have to get ahead on the roster. So yes, Ertz is a huge loss. I think Ertz is a bigger loss than Eckler, frankly.
Yeah.
But you'd love to have both of those guys back. I don't think we're going to have Eckler back for the year. Ertz, it's his first concussion on the year. Maybe he can come back next week.
I don't know. I still think X eligible to come back is next week, I think. But maybe I don't know if they got that.
I don't know about that math.
I thought we said he'd be eligible with 2 games to go, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But anyway, just sticking with Ertz, we'll figure that one out. I agree. I mean, he's not much of a yards after catch point of view. There is that 1 4th down. Was that the last time we played the Eagles, or that was the Cowboys game?
That was the Steelers game.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was really close there. But he finds a way to get open, and he's got good hands when he can. So he's that typical. He's like a Bobby Wagner on offense, right? He's not as fast as he used to be. He's not going to give you the yards after catch like maybe as much as he used to. I don't think he was ever like a huge yak guy, but he knows how to run routes, how to find those openings, and Jaden loves going to them. So we'll see. I mean, it's tough. Rarely guys turn things around in 1 week on a concussion, but it would be great to have him back.
Yeah, I'm no doctor, but especially those concussions where it's the guys that they hit their head on the ground versus against another head. That's usually, another head will flex a little bit. The ground don't move.
And reports were that of the 2 of them, Chin was
closer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll see. It's going to take all 53 to beat these Eagles. That's the bottom line.
Still got Terry.
Yep. And bottom line is you got to be ready for an injury in December, I spoke about that with Dieter a little bit earlier, but you've got to be ready for a guy to be hurt in December and step up. And I think that's where this roster still lacks a little bit of depth. But anyways, that's our breakdown for the Eagles-Commanders game. Let's hope we can get it together. This would be a huge win. I think division at this point is pretty much out of reach.
Yeah.
Eagles would have to lose out. But This certainly could be a great game in terms of our seeding and our implications. If we can get to 11, we can get to 12, we might be able to sneak a 6 seed or at least make it so that Cowboys game is irrelevant. Last game of the year, you'd love to be in that situation as well, where you can rest some guys and, kind of who cares?
It would just be a signature win, regardless of what it maybe means to the standings. It would just be a signature win.
Yep, and a great opportunity to show some growth throughout the season. Okay, we were really banged up for that first Eagles game, short week. We've added Lattimore. Daniels is healthy. The boys are in playoff form. Let's go make a statement. But speaking of statements, Pop, you ready to get into your Bada Bets?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, last week I was 3-2, which puts me at 43-35 for the year.
Woo!
Pop was 3-2, which puts him at 39-39. So just like Pop's golf game, man, he's hanging right around 500. You're never going to see Pop, stick one to a foot, but you're also never going to see Pop shank one off the hosel into the woods. Well, not that off. Pop keeps it right center of the club
some
face,
golf analogies.
Keeps it right down the center of the fairway. Nothing crazy. You're never going to see Pop turn one out for 320, but you'll see that 190-yard straight ball.
If we ever do a podcast where you notice Dominic shirtless, it'll be that he finally beat me in a round of golf.
Yeah, that's coming sooner rather than later, so that's fine. If Pop will ever play me on a round of golf with less than, if I can get more than 3 hours of sleep before the round.
Here we go. Let's pick these games, son.
You only got like 30 years of experience on me. It's all good. But let's get into it, man. Eagles, 3.5-point favorites at the Commanders on our home turf. Pop's going to pick the Eagles, I'm sure. I think ultimately it's hard to take the Commanders after what happened last time, and especially how good the Eagles have been. I personally wouldn't bet on this game if I was you guys, but my head would say to take the Eagles as well here.
Can I make my own pick here? You mind?
I was
too much to ask. I thought it was Dom and Pop show.
I was making my prediction on your pick. Of course, you have an opportunity to make your pick here, but I think you're going to pick the Eagles.
I'm picking the Eagles.
Yeah. It's just
like I said, we've got a chance, but a lot of things have to go right.
Yeah,
it's just how I feel. I feel there's a pretty big separation between these teams. I think it'll be competitive. I don't think they're going to blow us out of the building. I think we'll have a shot at it going into the fourth quarter, just like the last time. But I'm picking the Eagles and hoping that the juju swings us the other way.
Yeah, I hope so too. But yeah, like I said, looking at this line, I think Vegas did a great job with this line. I mean, if it was like, -2.5 or something like that, I might feel different. But
shows respect to the Commanders. I know it's a home game, but
yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah. It's a really good line, and like I said, if I was actually betting, I would just, even if I wasn't a Commanders fan, I would just say, hey, stay away from that line.
I think I'd smash the Eagles. I
give you one way or the other, but either way, let's get into our actual picks here for Bada Bets. Thursday night, Broncos at Chargers. Chargers just getting the home field. Chargers getting 3 points at home. What do you like there, Pop?
I like the Chargers.
I like the Chargers as well. I think that's a pretty clear-cut answer there. Sunday, 4:05, Vikings at Seahawks. This one has some pretty serious playoff implications for both teams. Obviously, Vikings in position to catch the Lions at this point for that 1 seed or a 2 seed even, which is wild to say. You never would have thought Sam Darnold would be in competition to get a 1 seed. And then you've got the Seahawks who are fighting to keep their dreams alive. Seahawks actually 3-point favorites at home here. That's pretty wild to me.
I wonder if I got that wrong. I might have wrote that wrong. Somebody was rushing me to get the outline out.
Oh, somebody was.
Let me double check that.
Double check on that one, because if that is Seahawks favorite, which I don't see any.
I think it's Vikings are favored. I wrote that wrong. Vikings are favored by 3.
Vikings are favored by 3. Okay, that makes a little more sense. I'm going to take the Vikings either way.
I agree. I'm taking the Vikings. I think my logic there is that Seahawks are coming through a rough performance last week. Vikings are just hot, continue to perform well week after week after week after week. It is a tough place to go to play in Seattle. Always tough. We might be seeing Sam Howell as a starting QB.
Yeah,
I
Geno
don't
Smith's
know
a little
what the
banged up.
situation is out there and in Seattle. I'll look that up as we get to the next game. But anyway, we're going Vikings either way.
Yeah, and God bless him. He looked atrocious in his
He did
time
not look good.
with the Seahawks last week.
I was rooting for him.
Yeah,
Dom, not so much, but I was rooting for him.
I wasn't rooting for him. I wasn't not rooting. I wasn't rooting against him, but I wasn't rooting for him either. I could care less about Sam Howell at this point in his career.
I love
Steelers at Ravens. Ravens are 6.5-point favorites here. I am taking the Steelers. That is way too much points for a division game like that. With the Steelers, who have, sorry, Ravens Insider, been the better team this NFL season. That's a lot of points. I'm taking the Steelers.
It is a lot of points. I'm wondering. We'll double check it again, but I'm wondering what the thought process is with favoring the Ravens by 6.5. Like, is there some other underlying situation happening with that? I think with 6.5 points, I got to go Steelers too.
Yeah, that's just way too much points. I mean, have you ever seen a Steelers-Ravens game decided by more than 3 points? I mean, it's just never.
Steelers coming off a loss.
Yeah, you got to go Steelers there. Sunday Night Football will be Bucks -4 at Cowboys. This one has some playoff implications for us as well. Commanders fans, I hate to break it to you, you should be rooting for the Cowboys here, unfortunately. What do you like there, Pop?
I think this one's, it's easy to just say, I'm going to take the Bucks. Cowboys have been playing better. They have been. And
Bucks ain't all that.
And Bucks ain't all that. And it's 4 points on the road. And I think the Cowboys, again, I hate the Cowboys. Hurts me to give them any kind of credit. But they're showing a bit of pride, right? They're showing some fight, which I wouldn't have expected, honestly, earlier in the year. They've got some talent. I'm going to have to go Cowboys. I try to separate the emotions from this. Would be good for us, too.
I'm with you, man. I'm going Cowboys as well. I don't know. That's that. I'm going Bucks. I don't like the Cowboys here. I think it's been a little I don't know. I just don't like I say, oh, I'm going Cowboys here, and then I look down their roster and I think about, okay, what are they gonna do? And I just don't see, I see the talent. I see how the Bucks can beat up on the Cowboys. I don't see how the Cowboys can beat up on the Bucks. Now, it's 4-point spread. It's a lot, but I personally think it's more likely the Bucks win by a touchdown than the Cowboys keep it within a field goal. So, with that being said, I'm taking the Bucks. Monday Night Football, Saints at Packers. Packers are 14.5-point favorites. This is a college football line, man.
It's a lot of points.
Yeah, I'm going to take a guess here and say that Pop takes the Saints because of the respect he's got for him after last week, and he thinks he's too much points. Am I correct, Pop?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, me
Who
neither.
You got?
I'm stuck, man, honestly, because I think the Packers are as good of a football team as any right now. I mean, I think they're pretty dominant at this point in the year. Their defense has been really good. Jair Alexander comes back this week. The Saints just have nothing going on right now, but 14.5 is, that's one of those where like the Packers can be winning by 3 touchdowns all game, and the Saints get like a garbage time score at the end of the game to F up the line, but they still got blown out, I don't know, man.
The Saints quarterback situation is just atrocious. That's the problem. And I know that the backup from last week, can't even remember names at this point, Rattler came in and played pretty well, but I think that was a bit of the backup comes in and just has a spark. His stats weren't great. 10 to 21, made a couple of big plays, was kind of chucking it up there and making some plays. So but giving up 14, I'm going to go Packers.
Yeah, I'm going to go Packers too. I'm gonna ride with you on that one. I like my pack.
But I hate that line. I should have almost. We always pick the national games, so I went with the formula, but I almost eliminated that one.
Yeah, it's
from the
tough.
bottom.
That's tough. But hey, man.
But if you're a degenerate gambler, you're gonna put some Scott Ohl on everything, right?
Yeah,
we are not.
The right place.
We are not.
Yeah, no, we got it under control here.
Yeah.
No disrespect to those of you who don't. It's okay.
Yeah,
we're all at different points.
Free country.
But yeah. Anyways, I don't know. Did we just endorse gambling addictions? I don't know.
Yeah, call 1-800-GAMBLER if you got a problem.
Get some help,
please.
But this thing's off the rails. At this point, if you're still with us, 35 minutes and 11 seconds into this thing, you know what's going on. Let's wrap this thing up, man. Guys, this is an all-time important game. This is a game of the season. So we're going to all need to focus up, be ready on Sunday.
Until next week.
Let's get that win. Yeah, until next week. This has an opportunity to make next week much less important. So let's get it done this week. Let's wrap this thing up, guys. Without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thank you for another great week, everybody, and hail to the Commanders.
Hail.